Hello, in today's video we are going to be discussing the dark femme fatale herself, Belladonna, better known as Deadly Nightshade. This is a new series on my channel which is about working with the spirit of witches' plants, how to work with them, what their correspondence are, what their folklore is, and just give you a more enriched understanding of your environment. Here we go. Before I begin, I just wanted to talk about the books I've used to research this. I have been working with Belladonna and the Nightshade family for quite a long time, but it's always good to read. So we have the Master Book of Herbalism. I love this book. I've had this book for aeons, and it's an incredible reference book, so I highly recommend that, and that's by Paul Beyerl. We have the Witch's Ointment, A Secret History of Psychedelic Magic. It's quite wordy, this book, but it's really informative. Some of the information in it isn't the same as some of the other information in it, as some of the other information in other places, so it's interesting to have a different take. We have Plants of the Gods. I cannot recommend this book enough. If you are interested in Indigenous cultures, or like you're a Graham Hancock fan, or you are into science and plant medicine or psychotropics in any way, it's an incredible book. I've had it for about 20 years. So I've used that book as well. And of course, couplers, because how can you be interested in herbalism and not have a copy of Culpeper's book of herbs? I've actually got another copy here as well. I have like many editions of this book. So these are the books I've used to reference this video. It's not scripted. If you've watched my videos before, you know I can't script them. It would take me months and months to script a video, and I'd probably never make it because anxiety is real. So let's get into Deadly Nightshade. Well, why is it called Deadly Nightshade? Let's discuss that first. In the English language, it's called Deadly Nightshade because it's poisonous. It's one of the most poisonous plants on the planet. It is incredibly toxic. It is said in folk traditions, a berry can harm, 10 berries can kill a man. We don't want to be eating this plant. This video is not for learning about how to harvest or use this plant or ingest this plant. This video is working with the plant spirit and the energy of this plant. Yeah, it's known as Deadly Nightshade because it is poisonous and it's deadly, and also the berries are very dark. So the berries are very dark black blue, and if you haven't seen this plant before, I'll try and get a photo to put up here. It has tubular purpley greeny brown coloured flowers which stick upwards, and dark coloured berries. And this is where the problem has laid with some accidental deaths associated with this plant, because generally blue blackberries appear to be edible. So you want to be really careful about identifying this plant and understanding what this plant looks like. Before you work with it, we need to know what it looks like, or at least we need to know its attributes. So there is a Greek name also associated and commonly used as part of this nightshade plant, and that is Atropa. So it is known as Atropa Deadly Nightshade. Atropa is the name of one of the 3 fates in ancient Greece, and this fate is the one with the scissors who cut the thread of life. So it's common sense why it would be called Atropa, because you eat this plant, you ingest this plant, you're probably gonna die. So it's very toxic. Now, a clue to its toxicity is also the fact that it comes from the nightshade family. Many, or indeed most, of the plants which are part of the nightshade family are only good for us in small doses, if completely poisonous, and should be avoided. So an example is tobacco, potatoes, henbane, chili, and nightshade itself, deadly nightshade itself. And there is many more. I think aubergines as well are part of this nightshade family, and there's many more nightshades within this family group. But if you've ever eaten too many potatoes, you know the soporific opioid effect of like heavy carbs. Chilies are super addictive. Tobacco, we all know the risks of tobacco these days, and we know how, or most of us understand how it was used originally, which was as a plant spirit, as in the peace pipes by the northern American peoples, indigenous peoples. It was used as a plant medicine. It wasn't meant to be abused in the way that the tobacco industry did in the 20th century, so, and maybe still do today. So all these plants, all the nightshade plants, have to be used with delicacy and reverence, which brings me to the next name, belladonna. The reason that this plant is also known as belladonna, and what a beautiful Italian name, which means beautiful woman, is because in the Renaissance period in Venice, the Venetian women used deadly nightshade cosmetically to enhance and enrich their beauty, and they did this through creating eye drops, which then would dilate the pupils and give the appearance of being in love. When you are releasing oxytocin and love chemicals into your body, your pupils naturally dilate, and so it gives the appearance of very tender heart and open-heartedness and invitation. It's not really known of any wider use, but presumably it was used for cosmetic reasons outside of Venice because the name wouldn't have stuck so well. But obviously there's still a lot of literature attached to the use of belladonna because we know about it. So there we go. So we have atropa, nightshade, deadly nightshade, and belladonna. It commonly grows wild throughout the UK, and it has a large witchcraft and folklore tradition in the UK and also across Europe, particularly in Eastern Europe, where there is still some pockets of, thank goodness, still some pockets of like indigenous folklores, and I will discuss those shortly. It also grows, as many nightshades do, in America. However, I'm not sure it's native to America, but it's definitely native to Europe and does somewhat stretch out towards the Middle East. So I think it probably grows around the Turkey and that area as well. Well, it definitely grows in Greece because we wouldn't have got the name atropa from it. So let's touch on the toxicity. Deadly nightshade is both toxic and psychotropic. So in other words, if you get the right dosage, it's going to be a mood enhancer. It's going to alter your state of reality. If you get the wrong dosage, you're going to die. So you want to be at a point where you, well, firstly, don't use the plant, don't eat the plant, don't go near the plant. But in history, it has been used in ways which are not very nice. So let's talk about the poisonings. It has been used as a poison for millennia. It has been found on the tips of arrows, so we know that it has been used for hunting. It has been used as a poison for millennia. It has been found on the tips of arrows. We know that it has been used for hunting. We also know, and we have evidence to suggest, that it was used throughout the Roman Empire, used it to murder each other. A common thread with Romans, right? Duncan the First. So he was King of Scotland in 1035, and a group of Norwegian raiders came to pillage and raid and take over Scotland. And to appease them, he pretended, he sent them goods. He sent them wine and he sent them food. However, the food was laced and the beverages were laced with nightshade. And it was very clearly laced with dosages of nightshade that were not going to kill these people. The point was to frighten them and to disarm them, which is exactly what it did, because it created a psychotropic circus within the whole community of the Norwegian raiders, immobilizing them and making it incapable for them to do any raiding, at which point they retreated, got back on the ships and went home, with some probably very frightening stories about their psychedelic experiences. So it's really interesting how different cultures have utilized this plant. Some have used it for power in the sense of the poisoning. So some have used it, you know, in the Romans, they've used it for, to gain power. And then some cultures have used it to thwart oppressors. And some cultures have used it for cosmetic reasons, to enhance beauty. When we are working with a plant spirit, it is no coincidence that the physical attributes of this plant enable this richness of usage. If we think about the spirit and nature of this plant, what we have is a deadly beauty. And that entwines with who the plant spirit truly is. It is a deadly beauty. It is not a toxic poisoner, and it is not an alluring cosmetic agent. It is both of those things combined. Belladonna. Now, the other thing that's really interesting with the name Belladonna is pre-Renaissance period, early Middle Ages and early modern period, and for the last few thousand years, Donna, women, have been seen as somewhat dangerous. And here we have Deadly Nightshade, an incredibly dangerous plant, but one which can induce beauty and alluring presence. So we have the power of women. When we look at Eastern European folklore, there is traditions about digging the plant up, leaving the plant offerings. You must leave it an offering of 3 things: bread and milk, or cheese or wine, and you dig the plant up and you carry it on your person. You could have it in your home, or you could dig the plant up, and this is said to enhance your beauty. When you invite a plant into your home, I'm getting a bit woo-woo here, but I know you're here for that, right? When you invite a plant into your home and you have a house plant, it's not just there to look pretty. That plant has a consciousness and it has a soul. It has a resonance, and it has a way of communicating with you, with the environment, and with the other plants. For example, when you get gifted roses, particularly if the roses are sweet smelling and they are beautiful, organic, beautifully grown roses, or you pick flowers out your garden, they enhance not just the smell of the room, your olfactory senses, which, by the way, is a very clear indicator that the plant is communicating with human beings and other animals and insects. But it enhances the energy within the room, because it does make you feel beautiful. And that's not just on a physical, emotional, mundane level. That's on a metaphysical, spiritual level. It is interacting with you. So of course, if you have the plant on your person, or you have an emblem of that plant, an amulet, it is going to enhance those properties. It is going to invite that energy to you. Now, I'm an astrologer, so let's talk a little bit about the astrological correspondence of this plant. Traditionally, and I've drawn it here, and I will post this on my social media so you can have a look at this picture more in depth, it is associated with the planet Saturn. And the reason for that is because it's associated with water and earth and death, the heaviness of time, the order and responsibility, and the heaviness of this plant. You have to be responsible if you're going to work with this plant. Coming back to the name Atropa, the fates, life and death. Of course, Saturn is associated in the tarot with the devil, so there's a huge weight and responsibility. However, in my personal opinion and astrological knowledge, I think that this plant is much more linked to Lilith as an astrological point and Pluto. Pluto rules karma, it rules ancestral trauma, it rules toxicity. It is an otherworldly, heavenly body. It is alluring, it is magnetic, it draws you to it, and it rules mycelium, it rules fungus, it rules toxicity, it rules poisoning. So for me, Belladonna is very linked to the energy of Pluto. It is like a magnetic pull that you cannot get away from, you cannot pull back from once you are engaged with the energy of that plant. There is no going back. So it's very similar to that energy with both the alluring eyes. The eyes are the window to our soul. You cannot pull away from someone who has magnetically beautiful dilated pupils, and nor can you step back once you have ingested that poison. Again, the dangerous woman, the toxicity, and of course Lilith. Now, if you don't know who Lilith was was Adam's first wife, and she was his equal. She wasn't made part of him, she wasn't identical to him, she was an independent materialized soul, and she wasn't happy with the way things with cohabiting, and so she was ejected from the Garden of Eden and became her own woman. And in a lot of mythology, she is said to be a demon and demonic energy and dark. However, in astrology, Lilith is about embracing your sexual power. It's about embracing the carnal, deeper, darker sides of yourself and integrating them to be able to function and utilize them and expand on them and enjoy them. We're meant to be enjoying ourselves. We're here to do least harm and have the most fun. So that's what Lilith is in astrology. So when we look at Belladonna and Lilith, they are almost the same. They are total companions. Belladonna is dangerous. Belladonna can hurt and harm and kill. But Belladonna can also be alluring and charming and beautiful. And this is where the witch's ointment comes in. So during the Middle Ages, many women believed that they were magical people. Many people believed in witches, and they created brews called flying ointments, which was a combination of different herbs and plants to give, again, a hallucinogenic, psychotropic induced state so that they could create more magic. Now, you know, I'm a practicing pagan, I'm a practicing witch, and this stuff for me is not too woo-woo, and it's not too out there. I get it, I get how this can be a thing. And basically what they would do is they would create this oil or this ointment or this tincture, and they would mix, commonly, not always, but commonly they would mix mugwort, hemlock and nightshade and a few other plants, maybe pennyroyal and some other plants together to create this psychotropic effect. And they would rub it on the brooms and the person, or they would ingest it, and then they would do the magic. They would commune with the spirits, or they would do whatever magic service they were doing. And it gave them a sense of either lycanthropy, where you feel like you're transforming into an animal, commonly a wolf, but not always, or the sense of flying. Now, particularly if you've used mugwort before, I'm going to do a separate video on mugwort, but if you've used mugwort, it does feel like sometimes you're flying. It does feel like you are closer to the astral plane, like you're out of body, and when you take it. So I can imagine how that herb and some of the more dangerous, more psychoactive, alkaloid rich herbs are going to create a state of elevation and out of body experience. So belladonna, it was seen as dangerous, and so there's this really interesting energy with belladonna where it's like it is dangerous. It literally is dangerous, and it literally can kill you if you ingest the berries or the roots or any part of the plant indeed. But working with this, with the plant spirit, is about us finding our dangerous side, our dark side, and bringing it into the light and calming it and showing it its true beauty, its true nature, its true power. So there is a huge feminist evolution going on within this plant spirit, and that's coming from a 21st century perspective, okay? But if we take it back to its deepest, darkest, traditional roots without all the psychobabble, what we have here is a plant which both initiates us into our darker self and exposes that in a way which is so beautifully gentle and soft, and allows us to be powerful, fully integrated, powerful within ourselves, rather than losing our beauty through chaos. We're actually creating structure and order, which brings me back to why originally it has been linked to the planet Saturn. Well, that's firstly because we didn't know Pluto existed till 1939. So, you know, maybe more astrologers do correspond, or herbalists do correspond it to Pluto. But the reason it's linked to Saturn is because it brings order and structure when you're dealing with it as a plant spirit. And you can see here my interpretation of it is it's a beautiful spirit. It's a beautiful plant spirit. It's like a dark goddess who is incredibly beautiful and incredibly alluring and magnetic, but you know it could be ended at any time. You know that that goddess could change her mind about you at any moment and you're done for. So when you're working with this energy of Deadly Nightshade and Belladonna, what you want to consider is engaging with your shadow self, is doing shadow work. And it's a really good plant medicine, it's a plant ally, it's a plant spirit to engage with in meditation and shamanic journeying when you are doing your shadow work, when you're wanting to integrate darker, more negative parts of yourself which you don't want to engage with. This is where Belladonna comes into her own, and she will be your friend. She will guide you. And if you think about Lilith in the biblical sense, Lilith did not fawn to Adam. She did not submit to what he expected. She had the expectation that she was an individual and that she had the right to explore and to be part of the Garden of Eden just as much as he did, and explore her own way and her own knowledge and expand on her own existence. And this is what Deadly Nightshade teaches us to do. It teaches us to be powerful, but be tender and gentle with that power. So I hope that video's been interesting. I have many more videos to come on this series, and I will keep you posted about when they will be uploaded. Please, if you know anything else about Belladonna and you want to share with me, I want to expand on any information, or if I've got anything wrong, let me know in the comments below. We can keep this conversation going. Feel free to pop an emoji below if you want to put I don't know, a plant or something like that there. And if you would like to book a reading with me, you can do so via my website, which is www.hextarot.bigcartel.com. So I will see you in the next video. Bye for now, everyone.